Episode 163 of the Interpretation Station is called to order. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 31st of January. It's now 11:27 in the morning here for me, so it's Tuesday. I figure that right now a lot of people will be sitting the UN competitive freelance exam, maybe even as we speak. So good luck to all you guys that are sitting that. So today's episode is based on the Sunday at 6 session that we held 2 days ago, which was the last one before the said exam. So we had quite a few people there who are going to be taking the exam. We had David, we had Laura, we had Kat, we had Rebecca. Off the top of my head. So I hope all you guys, keeping my fingers crossed for you. Obviously, by the time you see this, by the time you watch this, it will all have passed. But yeah, anyway, keeping my fingers crossed. So anyway, what did we do in the last preparation, the last sort of preparations for the exam? We had a look at, so today's episode, it's the statement, a statement by Nicaragua that we took. Now, this was an absolute barnstorming statement, okay? It wasn't the usual drivel of cliche followed by mantra followed by euphemism and then you turning back to the cliche again. This was a right proper rant, this one. Usually these are sort of reserved for Cuba and Venezuela do this kind of thing best, but Nicaragua here showed that they can pull their weight too. So this was a good fun one, and it's it harks back to all these historical events in Nicaraguan history, and it's railing against Yankee imperialism, filibustering expansionism. Oh dear, lots of interesting stuff. So anyway, as we've been doing the last few episodes, I'll start by showing you the recording of the Sunday at 6. From the Sunday at 6 workshop, and then I will finish what remains of the statement. I think we got through about half or 2/3 of the statement during the workshop. Links to the transcript and the audio can, as usual, be found in the description box below. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'll tell you that now before I forget later on. And without any further ado, let's just get going. Let's see what we discussed at the workshop, and then we will revert back to me at the end. Okay.
Okay, so let's just get started, okay? So we're going to start off with the Spanish, and I found a real classic Spanish rant for you for this episode. By the way, Kat, you're the only one who's new. Just make sure that you've subscribed. Okay, that's the only fee that you need to attend this. Just make sure you're subscribed to the Interpretation Station channel.
I did.
You have just checked.
Yeah, I just did it when I wrote to you this time.
Brilliant. And also, if you could just put in a comment on any Interpretation Station episode, it's good for the algorithms. Okay, that's all.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you, Roland.
Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Roland. How are you doing?
I'm very well. And you?
Good too. Thank you.
You come specially for Nicaragua. So
Yes.
this is a real classic rant that I got found here for you for Nicaragua. I think it was from a year or two ago, just to show you that at the UN it's not just always boring, humdrum, bureaucratic word pudding that they churn out, which admittedly the next two, the French bit and the Russian bit, are more or less just word pudding, but this one's quite entertaining. So, like, for those that are new, that's the fact only Kat's new. So we just basically, well, you've probably seen previous episodes. So we're just going to go through with this, imagining we're interpreting this. Okay, so we're sort of more or less processing the words as we come to them. Don't approach this as translation. This is like interpreting. By the way, apart from Rebecca, who else is taking the exam then, the UN exam? Laura and Kat. So Kat, are you taking the English booth one, yeah?
Yes.
You are. So okay. Is this the first time you're taking it?
I had taken the pre-selection test a couple of times.
Okay, so you didn't have to do it this time, right?
No, this is the first time that I passed it. The previous
Oh,
times
so you
were in
have
very
passed.
poor conditions.
Okay,
So yeah, I
okay.
just passed that. So now I'm taking the
Oh, well done. Well,
actual
that's
final exam
that's an
for the
achievement
first
in
time.
itself, passing the pre. That's good. Well, okay. How about Kat? Do you want to start us off then, seeing as you want to have the honor, as they say in golf, since you are new
I
here.
would be honored.
So go for it.
All right. So, Geneva, Switzerland. On behalf of our heroic, brave, and noble people, on the eve of the Great Battle of San Jacinto,
I remember it
which
well.
marked us forever with the duty of fighting against every kind of any form of colonialism, imperialism, interventionism, interference, and in our own affairs.
Okay. You forgot to greet, by the way. I didn't hear you saying greet.
Because I was gonna put it in at the end, but
Oh,
then I was
okay.
like, ugh.
Yeah, don't leave those things to the end. Just get those out of the way. Don't leave that sort of hanging, because if you don't have the text, you don't know where it's going to go. So really,
Okay, so you
don't.
would have started with
Because
greetings
we
on
greet. I
behalf
would have.
of.
Yeah, we greet.
Okay.
We greet on behalf. Yeah. I wouldn't have. Yeah, I'd have got it out of
Okay.
the way straight away. The only
Okay.
other thing I was going to say. Okay, so you got this long list of Where's my little fun little pen thing that I use to annotate? Okay. So, so that you got this whole list of things here, right?
Mhm.
Thick. Like that. Colonialism, imperialism, interventionism, interference, intromission. So, when you've got like something like that, you're absolutely entitled to drop one. Okay, it's not going to make any difference if you drop one. But just if you want a good synonym, or a word for intromission, meddling, interference. Okay,
Nice, because I
that's
was like, that's just the same as
yeah,
interference. What do I say for
exactly. So
this one?
that's a good synonym to have for
Great.
interference. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Go on. We want to. Yeah, we're going to go through this fast. Okay, so we want to get through as much as we can. So keep going.
Keep going. Okay. Tomorrow, September 14th, we will be celebrating in Nicaragua our holy homeland, our blessed, dignified, and forever free homeland, the 165th anniversary of this heroic and sublime battle in which our Nicaraguan patriots defended the honor and national dignity in the face of expansionist filibustering of
Hang on, let me get my sorry.
filibustering of Yankee imperialism in a brilliant peak that makes each one of us in Nicaragua children of this act and fierce defenders of our warfaring, valiant, and homeland, and always in heading towards the paths of national sovereignty.
Okay, good. Okay, that's
Good God.
that's a hell of a bit. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the Patria Bendita, I guess our blessed fatherland. And again, I'd say maybe you hear Patria Bendita and you say, "Oh, our blessed fatherland," and you then hear, "Oh, digna and siempre libre," because it's really our blessed, dignified and forever free fatherland. You can sort of repeat, our blessed fatherland. Oh, and then you hear, okay, our dignified and forever free fatherland. Okay,
Yeah,
that's one little
repeat it, yeah.
technique. Yeah.
Mm.
Filibusterismo expansionista. Well, have you heard of? You know what filibusters are, right? I mean, I know them from American politics.
I know them
right?
from American politics as well. Yeah.
I've never heard them used in any other context other than that, but I had to look it up. So filibusterismo, it's a reference, it seems, to the piracy and buccaneering. So I figure that I think you'd have been right to saying it. I would have probably said expansionist filibustering. But there you go, just sort of for general knowledge. So you'd probably want to say piracy because that sounds a bit meaner. Buccaneering, you could be fooled for thinking that might be something quite good, but whereas piracy, it's pretty usually bad under all circumstances. Imperialismo Yankee, this is the kind of thing you'll always hear from like the Cubans, the Venezuelans. So it's good to know, to be sort of familiar with some of this stuff. Epopeia, I guess, a feat, a brilliant feat, an achieve. It's a slightly grander word than achievement. I mean, there is a word, an epopee in English, but of this gesta, this jest, this act. You said that was good. What do you say? The ardent defenders. You just.
I forget what I said now.
You said fierce defenders.
Oh, the fierce defender. That's good. Yeah, I think you could also just go with the cognate as well here. The ardent. Aguerrida. So I looked at that. What did you say for aguerrida?
I said warfaring, but that's wrong. It's not that.
I would have been tempted to say that as well, but there's that can come across negatively, because I looked it up, and they've got like battle hardened was one of the other and that you could take that either way. Courageous, and I think that is courageous, just another synonym basically. Courageous, valiant. Okay. Recorriendo, this is a bit tricky to come up with something good for that. Forever, I know, walking the paths of national sovereignty.
Heading towards or something.
Always striding was a word that came to me, because striding sounds like you know.
That's good.
Okay, let's go on to someone else then. Rebecca, nos presentamos.
Once again, we come before this council with pride at being descendants of Darío, Nicaragua, Diriangén, Andrés Castro, Celedón, Sandino, Carlos, in a history of struggle for sovereignty and independence, which takes us to the bicentenary year with our heads held high, and the desire to fight, to overcome with reason and heartiness, with truth.
Our hearts,
our hearts, with reason and our hearts, with truth, light, and life as the triumphant banners.
Standard. So the couple of things I would say here. So Dario is a guy you'll want with Nicaragua. Dario is a guy you want to know. I think he's Ruben Dario, and that's one of the guys that like when the Nicaraguans quote their greats. I think he was a poet or a writer or something like that. So that the other ones, I'm not so certain. Okay, Sandino, I know was when you had the Nicaraguan civil war in the 80s and 90s. You had the Sandinistas, who are, I think, the team that won, basically. I think like the regime in Nicaragua, they are the sort of descendants of the Sandinistas. But yeah, Dario, just like the Cubans, the Cubans always quote a guy called Martí, Jose or Juan Martí. He's like their poetic. He's like their Shakespeare, their Rabbie Burns or whatever. So it's good to know, just like for these countries, who their guy is, because sometimes a word like a name cannot sometimes throw you. You might not if you don't recognize it. So, and then I was gonna say de lucha para. Okay, you said fight. So struggle is maybe the best word for la lucha, la lutte. Fight's okay, but head held high, that was good. A conscience, a desire to struggle to win, to triumph. Maybe you want something grander than just to win here. And I don't think con la razón, it's probably more with like justification. They're in the tener razón. I'm presuming it's not reason. Spanish native speaker Victoria. Would I be right in saying that? Victoria?
Sorry, I heard something. Could you repeat that, please?
That's okay. I was just going to say con la razón y el corazón. And so Rebecca said with reason and with our hearts. But I think razón here is more with like justification, right? As in when having tener razón.
Yeah, I think so as well. Tener razón.
Yeah, okay. So with truth, life, as our triumphal banners, our triumphal standards, whatever. Okay, you're going to go on a little bit more. Let me just scroll down. Okay, go on, Rebecca.
Okay. We know what our present is, and we know what our future is.
I think so. I think I think that works here. That I'd be fine with that. Our horizon, but yeah, that's our future. Yeah.
Okay. We always go beyond, speaking out, fighting with love, filled with hope, inspired by the sun that shines upon us, which never sets, a sun which has announced so many new victories of faith and goodwill.
Yes, I think we go forever on, forever forwards, shall we say. Now, denunciando. Now, usually I would be telling you for denunciar things is to report, because usually to report on things, to report crime, to report cases of corruption, that's your bog standard solution for denunciar, okay? But not, I don't think, in this context. I don't think, this is such a grand speech. I don't think the guy's calling on his fellow compatriots to report, to phone in on them, maybe on the hotline to report the latest violation. I think he's wanting to really denounce, actually, here, to denounce, he's denouncing Yankee imperialism, condemn. So I think, it's all about
go-to.
Right.
Sure.
It's all about context. So usually I would advise you dénoncer in French, dénonciar, report. Here, though, it's probably to denounce is better. It just sounds weird, reporting. We've got this grant, so I've got to report, get our reports in. So the sun that lights our way, which never sets, nunca declina, que anuncia tantas nuevas. I think that promises. Announce is a bit like report. They're going to do the reporting, and they're going to make a formal announcement. So, but I think here it's like to promise, to presage. So many new victories of faith and goodwill. Okay, let's give Laura a chance.
Okay. Next, we will copy Nicaragua's position, which was expressed before this same council on June 22nd this year. We believe it is necessary.
It's just weird. It sounds a bit suddenly weirdly bureaucratic, this suddenly one sentence, right? A continuación. I mean, usually it's like, I usually say moving on, next.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, we repeat the Nicaraguan position. Yeah.
Okay.
Victoria, as I said, because you're the Spanish native among us, please feel free to correct anything that I might misunderstand. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go on.
We believe it is necessary to repeat these words of glory and victories because they represent with nobleness.
Very good. Yeah, nobility,
and a sincere calling to independence, the infinite strength of a people that triumphs on a daily basis against all forms of disrespect, aggression, and claims of control of a sinful imperialistic, colonialist, and capitalist model that the free peoples of this earth are in the process of changing.
Yeah, that was pretty good, I think. We think it's necessary. Again, if you were really struggling, could be forgiven just for consideramos. Okay, these are those little shortcuts. You can say it's necessary to repeat. Okay, nobility, hidalguías. I think sincere calling for independence is very good. I think it's maybe better than a vocation. I think calling. Yeah, I think that's the best word. Yeah, that's a word you do come across quite a bit. The infinite force, the infinite strength of people that triumph against all forms of disrespect, aggression. Yeah, you said claims to. I think here you could probably say pretensions as well to domination. What did you say? To
control.
I think domination is better here.
Okay.
And pecaminoso modelo, the sinful model. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Let's go on.
We so state the government of reconciliation and national unity represents before this council the noble, courageous, and hardworking Nicaraguan people, heads held high, and with proud to be protagonists in a history of struggle for our national sovereignty, our independence, and even more so in this bicentennial year.
Keep going. That's all good. So,
tenemos derecho. Yes. We have a right to live in peace. We have a right to respect. We have a right to peace that with so much effort we have been building on over centuries of aggression, interference, intervention from the United States of America and its European accomplices that have tried to maintain imperialist domination and colonial domination over our free and sovereign blessed Nicaragua.
Yep. What was I going to say here? So empeño, one thing with the word empeño, a sort of word you might want to have sort of at the ready is like to
Indeed.
strive, like that
Okay.
we have striven to build over the centuries of aggression. That can get like that can often be a good solution for empeñar. Here you can sort of it's used as a noun, but con tanto empeño hemos venido construyendo. I think in English you could just see that we've striven to build over centuries, that we strove to build over centuries of aggression, interference, meddling. From the US, don't bother calling the United States of America. It's far too many syllables. The complicit European powers who have sought to maintain imperialist colonial domination over Nicaragua. Okay, do any of the non-English natives want to have a try or not? Up to you. Or you're just... I'm talking specifically of Victoria.
Sure, I can try.
Give it a try. Give it a little bit of a try.
We are gathered in this council to ratify the will, the glory, and the historical reason of the Nicaraguan people that have held high with the spirit of victory, facing the aggressors of forever.
Yes, nos presentamos
I don't know how to say that.
I would probably just say we come before this council to I don't know if we would ratify in English. We tend to in English ratify laws and things. Whenever I hear ratificar, and if it's not like to do, it's like to reiterate.
Reiterate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the idea I think is to hammer it home, isn't it? Like when we ratify in English, it tends to be like signing off on laws. So to ratify,
law related.
Yeah. To reiterate maybe you said the vigor, that's okay in English, I think. Victor, the glory, the historical, again, the razón, I don't like reason here. So, the justice, the historical justification.
Could we say righteousness?
Righteousness, yeah. That's something like that. Which has risen with the alma de victoria. So, what did you say? The spirit of victory, the soul of victories? I don't know.
A spirit of victory, yeah.
That sounds a bit nicer, maybe, than that sounds a bit more English. Against the eternal aggressor, maybe. Los agresores de siempre, maybe. Keep going.
We have the honor to defend our homeland and defend the interests and the rights of a people that has their own values and cultures, a people that has been recognized through the years as an inspiration and example of the people in struggle.
Yeah, lots of struggling here, like the struggle sessions. I think they had that during the Chinese Cultural Revolution, lots of struggling. Where are we? Yeah, again, this camina in valores, that strides. Maybe it sounds more, as I say, than just walking. It sounds a bit sort of pathetic. They're just having a little walk, whereas this, as I say, they're striding. That makes them, sound tougher.
Okay.
And they're going cultures people recognize over the years, inspiration. Okay. All right. That was very good, Victoria. Let's go back then to Kat. En los últimos días hemos vivido.
In recent days, we have experienced and courageously faced the same interventionist position that we have always seen and fought against since William Walker, North American, I forgot what you said, North American piracy.
Yes. The pirate, I guess they're calling him a filibustero, so the pirate.
Supremacy, slavery, the self-proclaimed president of Nicaragua.
Yeah, so they're calling him this. So since William Walker, the North American pirate, supremacist, and esclavista, slave trader, I think you could call them just a slaver, slave trader.
I lost the sense of the
Yeah.
sentence.
This is
Yeah,
all to
okay.
describe him.
Oh,
Yeah.
to describe him. I get it now. Yeah. Okay. And since before and even afterwards, between wars, interventions, and U.S. military occupations, they murdered our generals of our homeland, fathers of our national dignity, Benjamin Celedon and Augusto Sandino, or when the successive North American leaders of war declared themselves against us without any shame and in the most shameless fashion.
Okay, so to get that little last bit, you probably need to be at least my age to get the historical background for Contra. The one I was going to say, yeah, los generales patriotas, our patriot generals, okay, fathers of our national dignity. Again, here, maybe, if you're going very fast, you maybe drop like the Benjamin and the Augusto, Celedon and Sandino. Okay, guerreristas mandatarios norteamericanos. So a good word here for guerrerista would be warmongering. Okay, warmongering.
Yeah.
North American leaders, mandatarios. Okay, declared themselves the Contras because if I'm not mistaken, in Nicaragua, Victoria, I know you're from Latin America, so you might know better than me. But so I think you had the Sandinistas were the ones who are in power, and they were fighting against the Contras. The Contra rebels, as I recall, in Nicaragua. I think that's what the reference is to with Contras.
For sure.
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
for the Sandinistas, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the Contras were the ones that were sort of backed by the Americans. Okay.
So would you leave it? They declared themselves Contras?
Oh, this is specifically
Contras,
they declared themselves
yeah.
the Contras. Yeah. And it's all time. If you ever heard of a scandal in American politics in the 1980s or 90s, the Iran Contras scandal.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a sort of famous affair back in the 1980s in US politics, and it specifically refers to the Contras in Nicaragua.
Okay.
Okay. Without any shame. En la más cruda desvergüenza. So brazenly is a good word there.
Mm-hmm. Without any shame.
Without any
the
shame.
Most brazen fashion. Yeah.
Okay, do a little bit more then.
Sure. Nicaragua has faced the inexcusable greed of the United States and Europe, who have fully who have
sometimes you need to think on your feet. Sometimes What do you think of a word that goes with vice? I mean, sometimes you have to just step away from the actual words in the original, and you have to think in yourself if you were speaking English to a friend, right? What do you do?
Not be talking
vices?
about this.
No, probably not.
Okay, so Nicaragua has faced the inexcusable greed of United States and
I think
Europe.
you could probably just say the indecent. I think that'd be fine as well. So that's a word I don't
greed.
think.
Okay, yeah, of United States and Europe, who have acted in I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe since they have resorted
of their own downfall.
Yeah, resorted to all the vices of their own, decadence.
Okay, it's not decadencia. It's decadencia in the other sense of the word.
I think it's just the same. I think decadencia is pretty much decadence, whichever. Yeah, I don't think it's
decadencia in Spanish is downfall. Decadente.
Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, like the downfall of an empire.
I didn't know that. Is that so? Okay, their own downfall.
That's the most common use of the word.
Okay.
I actually didn't even know that decadencia could just mean decadence the way it does in English.
Victoria, what would you say?
It means both, and in this case, it's just they're exaggerating. I would say it's they made use of all their bad habits.
Okay, made use. That's why I said sort of resorted to.
Resorted to. That's better. Yeah.
That's a good word to have, to resort to something, you know, just generally in any statement. That's a good word to have at the ready. Okay, so we have learned something. I didn't know. So decadence can also mean downfall. Okay.
Yeah, this is the main reason that I was so lost, because I was just like, I
okay.
don't understand this sentence. But okay, yeah, got it. Okay, to in an effort to dismantle national honor and the spirit of Sandinismo.
Yeah, I certainly think that here again you could be pretty forgiven for just dropping one of these words. You know, if you're going fast, to dismantle, you can say to destroy. You know, so you need something anyway, but that dismantle's good. Yeah.
Okay. And the immoral and evident imperial, colonial, North American and European greed and neo-colonial with its proclaimed manifest destinies has always continued and continues today, or we always continue our strategy. Nope. And has always sought our strategic and privileged geographical position.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think. Yeah, I was going to say evidente avaricia. You said evident. That's okay. Maybe you can say blatant if you want something a bit more exciting. It's blatant imperial, colonial, North American, European, and neo-colonial. All those are basic adjectives to describe greed. And what you said with their proclaimed manifest destinies, don't really know what he's talking about, but seems all right. I mean, it more or less follows what he's saying. Has always perseguir. I would go with pursue would be my usual solution for perseguir. Pursues and continues to pursue our strategic and here, privileged geographic position. Usually with privilegiar, I wouldn't suggest you go to privilege. I know in French also they often use privilégié, and there I would tend to sort of go for prioritize tends to be a good versatile solution for privilégié. Here I think it really might actually just be its privileged geographic position.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just me. Yeah, basically here it just means that it's good. So
it's
you
good.
can use really any synonym for.
Fortunate
prime is a good one.
Prime, that's
for that,
nice.
like our prime spot, nuestra posición privilegiada.
Okay.
I like that, Laura. That's great. Prime. And my son is clapping you. He's sitting next to me. My son's, and now he's embarrassed because I'm looking at him and he's blushing. You like that? Prime was good, wasn't it? You like that? Oh yeah. Okay. Let's go 132. Okay, let's give it back to Rebecca. Rebecca, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yep,
yes.
Go on.
We have faced this with bravery, nobility, simplicity, good hearts, and valuable experience of coexistence based on dialogue and peace.
Yep. Yeah.
Of a culture of reconciliation and harmony, which despite so many warmongering perversions has been preserved and is growing between the people and the state of Nicaragua.
Yes. What was I going to say? Sensious simplicity. Yeah. Is that the best, Victoria? Sensious? I was going to say sensitivity, but maybe not. Or what do you think is better?
No, it's simplicity.
Simplicity. Okay. Simplicity, valuable experience. Peace, convivencia pacífica. That's something you hear all the time. Okay, peaceful coexistence. Convivencia dialogante. What did you say for that?
Based on dialogue and
based on that's a good way of turning a peaceful dialogue coexistence based on dialogue. Something like that, or you can just leave it out. If you know, sometimes it's just easier to leave these things like that out. Culture of reconciliation and harmony, good for concordia. You could probably say concord again. The register that this speech is being delivered in. Again, sometimes you have to adjust your own register, and so here you probably could get away with saying the concord. Okay. Despite so many warlike so much warlike wickedness. I mean, perversions again. You would probably be okay. Is being maintained, is growing between the Nicaraguan people and state. Keep going a little bit further.
Madam Chair, Is she a chair or is she a president?
I can't remember this was delivered. It was the Human Rights Council. I think she would be a
Ah.
president. Yeah, it was a
President.
president. Yeah.
Okay. President. Brothers and sisters or delegates, quite simply? Would you just leave the hermanos?
Just don't worry about it. If
Okay.
you just need a breath, I would need a breath. I would need to take a breath at this point, and I would
Yeah.
just maybe I'd say,
Can I-
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Ladies
can I
and gentlemen,
interject
yeah.
with a quick question about that? Because quite often they do in the midst just be like, Señor Presidente, to repeat it. Can we just leave
That's
it
what I
out,
say
or-
all the time in my
Yeah.
episodes. Okay, I always find that a classic moment. Just it doesn't. You're not losing anything.
Right.
Just take a deep breath. You know, it doesn't add or take away anything from the statement. So if you need to take a breath, that is the moment to do it. Go on, Rebecca.
We come before this council to defend justice and peace. Nicaragua's right to live with justice and peace. The right to live without foreign meddling.
Yes.
The right to put first and foremost our fate as a heroic people, which is not subjected to the, I can't use meddling again, can I? Interference of imperial powers.
Okay, what would I say here? Okay, to defend justice and peace. Without foreign interference, without foreign meddling. The right to, what do you say, protagonizar nuestro destino.
Oh,
You
what
said
did I say?
something?
Bring to the fore or something?
Bring to the fore. You can probably say again because of this register to protagonize.
Yeah.
Again, just because. One thing I would say though is destino. You said fate. To be honest, I think in English with fate tends to be a bad thing, that things aren't going to be. I think maybe you want to stick with destiny here, because destiny is always, it sounds more positive. That's yeah.
With the protagonize, to me, that's like also somewhat negative. I don't know, protagonize, or I guess it is maybe easier to keep it, but it's kind of like being the masters of your own destiny,
destiny,
right?
yes.
Right.
That
I mean,
would be
again, in hindsight, looking at the text, I don't think that would come out of my mouth. It's your
Yeah.
thing,
But you never know. Now that we're doing this here, then a couple
Yes,
of years
maybe the
down
next time
couple
we
of
hear
years
it.
down the road. But that's exactly what it is, to be the masters
or
of our.
take control of be the masters, or
This-
take control of our destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No se somete, not to submit, to not be subjugated, not subjugate ourselves to the, I think you say, the impositions of the imperial powers. Not to bow. That's another good one. Not to bow to the imposition. Okay, and Laura.
Okay, venimos a este consejo, right? We come before this council to say enough of reproducing in organizations that are supposed to be serving supposed to be at the service of human rights defense. The imperial and interventionist discourse of those who are intending to dictate our laws, our decisions, our ways and lifestyles, canceling out our own sovereignty.
I'll just stop you there, okay? Because I think here perhaps
It's too long.
you probably want to break this up, right?
Mhm.
This is a sort of opportunity to I mean, Kat, I often say this in with Spanish. You have these long sentences. This is all one sentence, okay? And it's
Mhm.
perfectly legitimate for you to try and break it up to make it a bit more manageable in English. To reproducing organismos, I'd say I wouldn't call them organizations. I'd say bodies. Maybe
Mhm.
safer, entities, bodies that are supposedly there to serve the defense of human rights, or serve the protection defense. It's usually what you're better off protecting human rights than defending human rights. So you probably want to stay away from the cognate in there.
Okay.
I would prefer to hear protection.
Mhm.
The imperial interventionist discourse. So I think discourse. I think is fine. Maybe the narrative is another
Narrative,
in
yeah.
English that we use a lot for that has in similar circumstances. That those who seek to dictate our laws, our decisions, our manners, our ways of life, then go on.
In doing so, canceling our sovereignty, seeking to impose ways that are outside of our culture and idiosyncrasy in an arrogant, somber, and inappropriate attempt to dominate a country and a people.
I'll come back. Yeah,
Oh,
just finish it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Only suffering and pain can be attributed to imperialism and the colonialists in all its forms.
Okay,
Oof.
so I was going to say here, so maybe you want to say so they seek to whatever nullify our sovereignty. I think that sounds better than to annul. They seek to impose ways that are alien. Ajeno, I think, is better for that. Alien, are foreign to. I think alien is maybe best. Ajeno to our culture and idiosyncrasies. In this, okay, soberbio. Okay, that's an important word to know. I think you said. What did you say?
I said somber.
No, I think soberbio.
No.
I think is like arrogant, right? Is that arrogante and
yeah.
soberbio? They're pretty much synonyms.
Yeah, arrogant or proud.
Yeah, proud. Okay, but yes, I think if you want something negative, you want like sanctimonious.
Sanctimonious.
If you want another,
It's definitely very negative.
Yeah. Usually, I think I would go with arrogant when I hear soberbio, but because you've just had it as well. Either you just leave, then you just leave it out, or if you want to find something else, then arrogant. Yeah, sanctimonious, self-righteous, whatever.
Haughty, maybe.
Say again.
Haughty.
Haughty, yeah, that's not bad. Haughty, yeah. Afan is a zeal. I always for afan, I always say zeal. This indecent zeal, this unbecoming zeal to dominate a people and a country that only suffering and pain are owed to imperialism and colonialism in all its forms. Yeah, that's a tricky sentence, isn't it?
It was, because then I ended it and then I wasn't sure if I had anything to make a
right.
Another
always
sentence.
Make sure that you make a sentence. Always, that's one thing. Another thing to always be very aware. Make sure that even if you miss stuff, try and make sure that every that you package your information in such a way that everything at least comes out as a coherent sentence. Like, don't let things just drift off. Just at least, close off sentences, even if it means having to add something like is a priority, just to close a sentence off.
Okay, so I think we got to page 8 then. So let's carry on from here. Okay, Madam President, dear delegates, hermanos delegados, brother delegates. Just don't worry about it. We've come to this council to denounce. So I'm really denounce. Okay, or condemn the US and the European powers who are accomplices, and to denounce the immoral, indecent policy of aggressive, arbitrary, illegal, coercive, and unilateral measures that violate all instruments of international law. Okay, so he's obviously referring, unilateral coercive measures. That's an important term. He doesn't actually specifically say here universal coercive measures, but that is obviously a thing that you need to be very aware of. That's often just referred to as UCMs. I've said this many times in interpretation station episodes. Okay, again, if you were doing this at speed, look, all these adjectives. I guess they offer you a great chance to just drop a couple. You've got how many here? Aggressive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 adjectives to describe the measures. Even if you dropped a couple, I don't think anyone would notice the difference. We've come to denounce and to keep denouncing colonial Europe and the US, the invader of our America, as they were called by the immortal and universal Nicaraguan Ruben Dario. So okay, like I say, Dario is an important one to remember when there's anything to do with Nicaragua, and to denounce here today as invaders, as conquistadors. Yes, okay, so you need a bit of perhaps knowledge of your Spanish colonial history. So I mean, in English we call those guys the Spaniards who went out to conquer the New World. We call them, as far as I know, we call them the conquistadors. So don't be trying to play with that at all. So just as invaders, conquistadors, and asaltantes del derecho. Let's say the aggressors against the law, the heritage, and the sovereignty of peoples. I think that's probably the best word for us, assaltante. I mean, we don't have the assaulters, do we? The attackers, maybe. Aggressor, but I think sounds best in English. We have come to this council to demand justice for Nicaragua, justice for Nicaraguan families, justice for a people of faith, of values, of ideals, who will not surrender, que no se entregan, who will not back down, will not surrender, of communities which, as our General Sandino said, don't sell out, don't surrender, ever. Okay? Rendirse, surrender, back down. Good to have a couple of synonyms for that idea. Capitulate, I suppose, is a very high register. In blessed, sovereign, and forever free Nicaragua, there are laws, and these laws are observed, okay, are respected against. These are laws similar or the same as in any country in the world, but they, the imperialists, they have them and apply them, while they do not recognize us and our right to apply or implement or enforce. Enforce is always a good collocation to have with law. Enforce our similar laws of protecting loyalty to the fatherland. It's very hard to go through this statement, isn't it? Without myself starting to rant in similar style. Come. Try and keep calm. I noticed I went for protecting, defending loyalty. Do you defend loyalty, protect loyalty? As I think I said before that I have a slight... I'm slightly loath to use the cognate often when I hear defensa de los derechos humanos. I prefer to say protection rather than defense. Certainly when it comes to human rights. I don't know, maybe loyalty. Do you defend loyalty? Do you protect it? I think you could say either. They denounce us because the people who are answering to the Nicaraguan justice system, who are before the Nicaraguan justice, before the Nicaraguan courts, are these sad and failed asalariados. Now, obviously, it means that they're in the pay of the Americans he's referring to here. So here you want a package of words along the lines, though. I don't think there's one word that completely encapsulates the idea of asalariados that they have in Spanish. But again, the minions, perhaps, the puppets, the lackeys. Now, I know in other interpretation station episodes, I've given the mnemonic pissing myself laughing, PMSL, right? You know that acronym you have on the net, PMSL, to say that you're laughing very hard. And I had it for P for puppet, M for minion, L for lackey, and I can't remember for the life of me what I said for S. That's annoying me. So if you remember what was S, what I had for S, remember. But it's a good way of remembering that little semantic field. A few words that mean a very similar. Have a very similar meaning. Another S that came to me was a satrap. That's an old school word, a satrap. I think that would probably work well in this context as well. Anyway, what was that S word? Sadly, vendepatrias, great word, eh? I guess traitors, just say traitors. Sadly, de siempre, eternal traitors. Who have committed delitos. I usually say offences, right? I usually say for delito, offence, crimen, crime. I know it sounds again here a bit grander to maybe say who have committed crimes against sovereignty, but I think you can say the crimes, offences against the sovereignty, the independence, the security, and the peace in our Nicaragua. Anything else that is said in this council is part of the same strategy of defamation. You just use the cognate. I guess slander, okay, is another good synonym for that. It's a good word to have, as well. Of denigrating communication and of pretensions to humiliate, subjugating a country and a people who owe nothing and who fear nothing. Sojuzgando, I think, yes, to subjugate, I think is the best solution there. And here we go again. We have come to condemn, we repeat, the North American and European imperialists and their, políticas y acciones injerencista. So obviously, usually when I hear injerencia as a noun, I tend to say with interference is obviously works well, but we don't in English we don't really talk about interferencist policies, right? As an adjective, we don't use it as an adjective, and I think here interventionist and their interventionist policies and actions, violatorias del derecho internacional, in violation of international law and of the UN Charter. Sepan. So what's a good solution even for sepan? This is something they'll say sometimes in one of these sort of rants, if you like. I'd say in English we don't really say no, right? We wouldn't do that. I think we'd say something like, be aware, brothers and sisters of the world. In Nicaragua, there is a pueblo laborioso, I guess hard-working, conscientious. It's a good synonym. Digno, noble, loving, solidario. Now, there's a word that often can pose a problem because obviously in English again we have the word solidarity, and it's easy enough when they say in Spanish, let's say solidaridad, but they often use solidaridad as an adjective, okay, as they do here. They're talking about, it refers to pueblo, right? Pueblo solidario. But see, in English we don't use a solidary people. We don't have that, okay? And so you have to find, I mean, again, you have a whole string of adjectives, so you could easily here just drop this if it was giving you too much of a headache. But okay, it's always good to think what's the best sort of thing to say when you hear solidaria. I think the most versatile solution is perhaps united, okay? You have a united people, but it's not great. I think maybe in this context, Pueblo Solidario, maybe a loyal people. Sometimes again when they say un apoyo solidario, they'll talk about, for example, maybe there you could say like unbending, unwavering, unflinching support. But then there's also when they talk about nuestra posición solidaria, and there I think it is more like united, our united position, united we stand. So yes, solidario, it's a bit of a nuisance, that word, but if all else fails I would say united, but again, it can vary from case to case. Brotherly people, which has identified with the best causes, the causes of justice, of true life, whatever the cause of true life is, of liberty, freedom, whatever, and of the right to work, to security and peace, to health, to education, to prosperity. These are los propósitos, these are the purposes, and these are the realización here, I would say, is the achievements. These are the achievements of our Nicaragua. We are moving forward, we are progressing, despite the imperialists of the earth, with all their complicit criminals, because we are noble, esforzados, we are strong, we stand, maybe you could say we are noble and we stand strong, and because we are nobody's colony, and we go with happiness. Again, you know how we were saying earlier, striding. Maybe it's getting a bit stronger. You know, you got to get into the mindset here. You got to go with it, go with the flow. We stride with happiness towards meeting the goals established by the United Nations. That's a sort of collocation you'll hear quite a bit. Objetivos trazados, the goals set, the goals. I guess the goals defined as well by the UN for the good life, for fair, harmonious, sustainable life. Okay, here, there you go. You see, my initial reaction, I saw para la vida buena, so I just said the good life, but really again, Now, all these adjectives refer to the life, okay? Good, fair, harmonious, sustainable. So again, I just repeat it with that, sort of give that extra emphasis. And to the right to development for all. And that there you have it. So that's, as I say, a tour de force, as we say in English, not only in French, okay, of a statement from the Nicaraguans. So yeah, you never know what they might throw out to you at an exam, and yeah, you're gonna run into this kind of slightly more these kind of slightly more passionate speeches at the UN, especially I guess at general debate time. I guess is the time when you really get the characters coming out. I think we once did an episode, didn't we? Che Guevara speaking to the general debate. That's a good one to practice, because you get this vocab that you don't otherwise tend to hear when it's these more formal bureaucratic statements. But yeah, I did. There's a previous episode that I did that I think Sterling did for me. Speech by Che Guevara at the general debate. So I'm going to put a link to that. So that's a good one for you to practice. So anyway, I hope that you have learnt some new words there. I certainly learnt a few new words from this statement, I must admit. Most interestingly for me was actually, I don't know, decadencia's downfall, decline, or it can be both, decadence, decline, but yeah, so didn't know that. Guys, said it before, but I'll say it again quickly. Like, share, subscribe. Keep following me on LinkedIn for new updates. I think I'm going to be doing, if you're watching this on the week of the first week in February, on Saturday, looks like we're going to be doing a Sunday at 6 session for all those taking the French booth freelance exam. So that'll be Saturday at 4 o'clock. So cancel everything you've planned, cancel all the skiing trips on Saturday, pencil that in your diary, especially if you're taking the French booth exam, and I'll see you there, okay? But anyway, hope you've enjoyed that, and I wish you a prosperous rest of the week. And nothing more is left to be said other than that episode 163 of the Interpretation Station stands adjourned.
The train is now leaving the Interpretation Station. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Until next time, folks.